World of Tankers. I'm Blitz, and today we'll be talking about the SU-130PM. Now, a couple weeks back, I made a video on this tank, and I talked about the statistics, my overall opinion on how it's going to run in the battlefield, and everything like that, and I compared it to the Scorpion G. But in the beginning of that video, I said that if the tank wasn't performing how Wargaming wanted it to, they could either nerf it or buff it. And it turns out that Wargaming did exactly that, but it was a huge nerf. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you all you need to know about what happened to the statistics on this tank and how it's going to play and affect the overall stance of this vehicle when it does come into the event. Real quick before I do get into the statistics, I just want to say if any of you have been wondering why I have World of Tanks PC content playing in the background of this video, I actually have the tank in my PC account, and I decided, you know what? Blitz doesn't have the tank in the game for me to play and have replays on. I don't know why. Wargaming won't let the Blitz contributors or whatever make videos on these tanks before they come out, because in my opinion it would be almost free advertising letting people know about a vehicle before it comes out. Not only that, but it lets Wargaming know the contributors' personal opinions on the tank. So I'm not sure why they don't do that. They do that in PC. But I decided because I don't have the ability to get gameplay of this tank in World of Tanks Blitz, I'd get some gameplay from PC. This was one of the games I played today in it. And I just figured because you guys get to see what the tank looks like, you might see how to play it a little bit. I thought this was just a better idea to shove a little game in the background of this video. So this is a 100% Blitz video. I just wanted to tell you guys why I do have some PC content playing in the background. So getting straight into the statistics of this tank after the nerf. As you can see here, I've typed up all the numbers on a Word document. The red is after the nerf and the white is before it. And right into the dispersion values, you can see 0.316, which to be honest isn't a great dispersion factor in general for a tank destroyer that has really weak armor. It went all the way to 0.336, which is going to make it really hard to hit some of these accurate shots across the map. As well, the dispersion factor when rotating the turret, which was very good at 0.1, is now 0.16, which is terrible. That means it's going to bloom almost every single time you turn the turret, and you really want to have an accurate tank destroyer when you don't have a lot of armor, you're trying to sit at the back of the map, support your team. This tank is really going to struggle to do that. As well, the engine power went from 620 to 465. That is a tremendous nerf on the engine power, which made the effective power-to-weight ratio almost get 50% worse, from 21.73 to 16.30 on hard terrain, 17.38 on medium to 13.04, and soft terrain went all the way down to 6.52, which is not the best. And as well, the top speed on this tank, which drew a lot of people in, which was at 65, got nerfed 15 down to 50 kilometers per hour. So you can see how badly they just nerfed almost every single number that was possible to nerf on this tank. Of course, I didn't just want to leave you guys with the statistical change of the SU-130 alone, so I'm going to be comparing it to the Scorpion G. And unfortunately, BlitzStars hasn't changed the statistics on the SU-130 yet, so if you do want to look at them yourself, I would definitely suggest to go look at Blitzhanger. But I actually went into the HTML file of Blitzhanger and I messed with all the numbers, so you guys can actually see an accurate representation of what it's going to be like compared to the Scorpion G. So looking at the damage per minute, you can see the Scorpion G has a base damage per minute of 2,848, which is actually quite a bit better than the 2,664 on the SU-130. The penetration values, the alpha, are pretty much exactly the same, and of course the reload on the Scorpion is going to be better if it has a better damage per minute. But I will say the SU-130 has one big advantage over the Scorpion G, and that's its premium ammo. It shoots heat as its premium round, and if you look at the Scorpion G, yeah, they look very similar on their premium penetration, but you can load calibrated, where you can't really do that as well on the Scorpion. Calibrated is going to bring your penetration on premium up to 350 with the SU-130, compared to 327 on the Scorpion G. So that is one big advantage you do get with the SU, is just having extra penetration on calibrated, which I would definitely suggest you do run on the tank if you are to pick it up. But as you can see, when you move onto the aiming time, the Scorpion G has a base aiming time of 1.72 seconds, which is excellent for a tank destroyer. The SU-130 is okay at 2.08. But then you look at the dispersion, and 0.29 is again excellent for a tier 8 tank destroyer. And then you look at the SU-130, 0.336 is actually the worst tier 8 tank destroyer value. except for like the RHM and the ISU, that I could actually find out of every other tank. The Ferdinand, the Jagdpanther 2, the WZ-111, all those tanks have better dispersion values than the SU-130PM. I actually had to pull up a Tier 8 heavy tank to get the 15% change in the value. That's just how bad the dispersion is on the SU-130. And I couldn't also get the on-movement rotation because they kind of have it listed weird for the Scorpion G and the SU-130, but it's just a lot worse on the SU-130 compared to the Scorpion G on the on-movement dispersion values as well. The depression and elevation doesn't really matter that much because of course you're going to be sitting at the back of the map in both of these tanks. If you're pushing these vehicles aggressive and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be eliminated within a couple seconds in the game. They just don't have armor and they don't have hit points, so that is one thing that you really don't want to be doing. As well, the SU has a huge drawback on the aiming arc. It can go 70 degrees to the right and 70 to the left, which is still pretty mobile, but judging that the Scorpion G has an entire turret, that is something that's really helpful for the Scorpion, which means that you can't really get flanked in it, where the SU, if somebody gets behind you, especially with the Nerf traverse values on hard terrain, the horsepower to ton, that's not going to be super good anymore, because you're not going to be able to turn the turret behind your tank. And probably the largest nerf out of all of the numbers here was the top speed. That was 65 and went all the way down to 50. The reason a lot of people wanted the SU over the Scorpion G was just that huge advancement in mobility. You'd be able to get into positions where the Scorpion G wouldn't be able to because you're lower down. You'd have that better camo rating. You're not really going to be experiencing that anymore in the SU-130. Not only does the Scorpion G have a better top speed, it's also got a better power to weight ratio, it's got better terrain resistance, it's got a better effective horsepower to ton ratio. With all those values added in, it means that the Scorpion G is going to be faster on any terrain you go on, hills, anything. Even though the SU-130 weighs a lot less, that engine power that got nerfed on the 465 is pretty much ruining everything about the tank. So I really don't get any advantages on running the SU-130 now over the Scorpion G, other than I guess it has a good camouflage rating, because there's nothing really else. So in the last video I made on this tank, the preview, a lot of you guys in the comments down below said you want this tank because it has the increased mobility, it's going to make it a lot more flexible, it's really quick, almost like light tank mobility. And now that that's been stripped away from the vehicle, as well as the aiming time and the dispersion values and everything like that, what is even the point of going for this tank? In the event, if you already have a Scorpion G, yeah, it's nice to maybe get another Tier 8 Premium in your garage, but really, what is the point of picking up this vehicle if you already have a Scorpion G? It is literally a worse version in almost every single way. The only thing, as I said, that is better is literally the camouflage rating, and that you can load calibrated on this tank and have more penetration than the Scorpion G. There's nothing else that's even remotely better. So I don't understand why Wargaming would nerf these statistics so hard on this tank without making it having any redeeming factors over a vehicle like the Scorpion G. And the funny thing is, the Scorpion G is literally in the store right now, which is kind of funny. Unfortunately, it is in crates, but it still is in the store. So if you were thinking about picking up this tank and you don't have the Scorpion G, well, I'm not saying go and gamble your money to try and pick up the Scorpion in the crates right now, but honestly, the Scorpion G is a way better tank than this one is probably going to be unless Wargaming does end up buffing it again. I really hope Wargaming did not nerf this tank because it's coming into an event where you can get it for a lot cheaper price tag. If you think about the past tanks that have come into events, they aren't really spectacular vehicles. The Chieftain T95, T4400, and the Type 59 Patton, none of those tanks you really see a crazy amount in the Matchmaker. And the reason for that being, obviously, is because they aren't spectacular tanks. In fact, a lot of standard tech tree vehicles perform a lot better than some of those tanks in normal games, like the T44 compared to the T44-100. So, when you're thinking about the SU-130PM, why would Wargaming make this tank a lot worse than the Scorpion G? Maybe it's just because it's going to be in an event where you can get it a lot cheaper. Maybe they're just possibly nerfing it because it is in that event. Now, of course, that is just a theory that's out there. This isn't proof or anything like that. I don't believe it myself, but I really don't want to believe it because it's not something that you want to think good of if a company is nerfing the tank just because you can get it possibly for free compared to a Scorpion G where you actually have to spend money. So Wargaming, if you are doing this, that's sort of shame on you. But I really hope you aren't, and I hope you're just nerfing it because of the statistical overview of the tank for the last 90 days or whatever you've been testing it. I expected this tank to be coming out this update, but it's going to be changed in update 6.10, so that's going to be the next update the tank's going to be coming out in, probably whenever that event is. It'll probably be the first event of that update, so I'm going to have to see if they do change the statistics or everything like that. Maybe I'll be able to convince them. But other than that, guys, I hope you did enjoy this little basic rundown of what's going on with the tank. If you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you like this sort of content in the background, where if I make another preview and I have the tank in my garage, I actually have the T-54E2, and I was thinking about getting gameplay out as well for that. But if you guys want me to do more gameplay like this on previews of tanks that PC has that Blitz doesn't, let me know in the comments down below. But other than that, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next one.